morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and I am with the gang. And folks, we have probably one of the spiciest shows you're ever going to hear, Boom. I am in my feelings over what Jim Ryan had to say, and I'm going to start off by saying that guy has balls of steel. And this goes to prove to everyone that Sony is not your friend and that they feel incredibly entitled to, and they expect to be given carte blanche no matter where they go. And this is crazy. I mean, obviously, we're going to get to what set this war of words off with Phil Spencer and his interview with The Verge. And we're going to talk about what happened with Jim Ryan's rebuttal. So I've been checking the socials all morning. We have yet to get a response from Phil Spencer or Microsoft for that matter. We're going to get into the real minutia, if you will, of why I have a real problem with this and why the market leader bully who has had their foot on Microsoft's throat for what is almost a decade, folks. All of the PlayStation 4 generation, this generation 2 years in as of November, they have had the boot on Microsoft's neck, keeping them in third place. The mere fact that it has been suggested that they do not want to lose market share value because they're not used to it is a load of garbage. We're going to get into that. Web Dave, you got a big interview, which you'll talk about at the end of the show. How the heck are you, man? And welcome.
Thank you, sir. I'm doing great, and I am fired up and ready to talk about this. Even though I'm wearing my Colt Eastwood Be Nice shirt, and I will be nice, but I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to tell you all about my feelings on this subject. So anyway, let's get into it, man. Let's go.
Yeah. We everyone's going to have a lot to say. We're also going to be talking about again, Sony kind of throwing themselves under the bus, so to speak. I was supposed to do a primetime gaming, obviously, due to some very serious family stuff. I had to cancel that show, so I moved that topic forward here. I did invite a few other people on the back end. I don't know if anyone is going to be here but us, but you know what? We're going to give you our dynamite show. Everyone here is an absolute rock star. Sony throwing themselves under the bus by putting out the 1200 model of the PlayStation 5, which has been confirmed to be cheaper and less expensive. And who did that? Well, Austin Evans, one of the best in the business, broke down. And he did an incredible video that I'm not surprised is probably going to get 1 million views because he literally broke down all three models, the 1000, the 1100, and the new 1200 model, which has been confirmed to have so much different parts, making it very cheaper, or at least much cheaper to make. And the fact this comes on the heels of a $50 price increase. Once again, Sony proving that they're for the payers, not the players. But Dreadpool, welcome. How the heck are you? And what have you had for breakfast?
Oh, well, let's see. We went the cheap route today, so we did the Mickey D pancake combo breakfast.
Did you enjoy? I love the pancakes with the sausage combination. I got to cut them into little triangles and eat them together. That's just how I do it.
Yeah, I've come to realize that I don't like their syrup as much as I used to anymore.
Wow.
I don't know why. I guess I'm hoity-toity now.
No. Just listen. Back in the days as a kid, anything with sugar, it's good. When you get older, your taste buds change.
So, but yeah, right now I'm just having good old-fashioned brewed in the Keurig Sam's Club coffee. Nothing too fancy. A little bit of sweet cream with no sugar. I'm learning from the dead and some of the other guys. Like you, Boom, working out and everything. I'm not working out yet, but I'm trying to eat healthier and smarter. So, I can't go full force into it. I got to ease my way into it.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. You know what? When you go full force into something like that, especially when you change your lifestyle, it doesn't work because it's too much to endure at one time. And for working out per se, I'm actually doing Pilates, which I find to be incredible, especially because I'm working on the core. Now, I'm never going to have a six-pack at 52 at the end of the year. I mean, at the end of the month. But I like the Pilates thing.
I'm working on getting back onto the P90X. That's what I was on when I met my wife, and I think she misses those days.
No, that's some serious working out. But listen, brother, it is great to have you here. I know that you have a lot to say about what happened between the war of words.
I may shock you on some of my thoughts too. So
okay, no. Listen, I love different opinions.
Just grab the seatbelt and strap on in for all of our opinions. Definitely.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And last and no way least, Fuzzy Belvedere. What's going on, brother? You've been watching what's been going on in the gaming news, and there's a lot to get into. And again, this arrogance that Sony has proves that they've been in first place for too long, and they expect to be in first place, and no one is expected to challenge them. And this is why I think that regardless of who is asking for second looks and delaying their decisions, I think what a lot of these smaller entities are looking for is the big ones to make their decisions, like the CMA and the FTC. And I think once they are satisfied with this deal not being, cornering the market, so to speak, because Sony keeps talking about Call of Duty and not anything else, I think it's going to pass. I actually think that Microsoft's attorneys are going to have a very easy time. And I say that because if you take someone like me, and I'm not insulting myself, I'm ex-law enforcement, right? So I understand criminal law. I can read the penal law backwards and forwards and tell you anything about felonies and misdemeanors and classes. I learned that in school, and it lasted for 21 years of my career. I know that book in and out. I can't tell you about corporate law. That's why I turn into folks like Hogue Law, who, by the way, is not here today. I'm going to send him an invite just for shits and giggles and see if he's listening. His last video, ladies and gentlemen, OMG, was fan-freaking-tastic. And he really broke down, again, the minutia of what is happening. And he broke down the war words. And, of course, Rich is just funny when the way he breaks it down. He's hilarious to listen to. But, Fuzzy, how are you, man? What's going on?
Oh, I'm doing great and glad to be here with you guys. And crying lion Jim Ryan, or crying lion dance moves Jim Ryan.
I love it. He has a ton of puns that we can use for him, because man, I mean, just talk about disgusting.
Yeah, it's the PS3 vibes all over again. But man, I can't wait to get into it. Going to be definitely an interesting show today, no doubt. Let's get into it.
Yeah, I'm literally sending Rich a message right now. Hold on just a second. If you can join. Sorry for the typing, because I have to continue my intro. So Rich has been invited. Again, it's super last minute, and he's probably in meetings. He was in meetings yesterday. That's why he couldn't join us. He's a busy man. But, I mean, besides having a channel that has 100,000 plus subscribers, he does have an actual real job, ladies and gentlemen. Look, let's get into it. Let's break down the big topic of the day. And again, we have some other ones we're going to talk about. Infinity Ward is currently in development of a new action RPG first-person shooter with a ton of people from BioWare, which I find to be fascinating. And I would imagine that it's going to be a big deal simply because, well, it's Infinity Ward, right? Like what could you possibly say about that other than, man, I'm super excited because, well, they make great games. And when you hear that, you have ex-devs from BioWare wanting to get together and collaborate, I'm excited. And why I'm even more excited, and maybe this is petty, maybe this is catty. It's going to be an Xbox exclusive. It's going to be a new IP, and it's going to be something else to add to the stack deck that Microsoft will have once they finish this Activision Blizzard deal. So let me find. You know what? Maybe we should open up with that. Maybe we should talk about what BioWare, where I got this from. Let me see if I can find it. For the love of Jehovah, I just had it. Bloody hell! All right. So listen. as I look for it, let's get into what I'm talking about. It was posted, and remember, folks, this is a rumor, right? This is not confirmed. Infinity Ward, their Texas division, is apparently working on a new IP. Now, the new IP is supposed to be an action RPG that takes place in space. Well, that sounds a lot, folks. Like and anything BioWare has done in the past. Pick your flavor. Star Wars. Of course, most notably is Mass Effect. And when you think about what Infinity War has done in regards to first person shooters, well, I mean their record is I don't have to sit here and break it all down for you, but I did find the story. Now this was originally tweeted. He goes by the name of simply Ralph, and it's at Ralph Valve. This was posted on September 1st. So this was last week, and it was actually supposed to be a story that I was going to talk about, but it got lost in with so much news going on. So this is what he had to say. He said Infinity Ward's Austin, Texas division are heading the project with former BioWare employees driving its creative vision. Since their split from Bungie, Activision has been wanting a bigger stake back into the RPG/MMO market. And he's heard that Treyarch's title, which they're working on a new title, is coming out fourth quarter 2024. He says this: I've heard that this RPG project is seeing a potential release window for fall 2023, but production is moving a little slow, giving the current focus on Modern Warfare 2 an emphasis on building a solid team. So not only do you have Infinity Ward working on a new title, you have Treyarch, who these two studios, whether you love them, you like them, you hate them, or otherwise, are responsible for some of the biggest Call of Duties. Now, when you hear that, and again, why is this happening? Is this influenced by Microsoft? I honestly couldn't tell you, but I'm sure there were conversations had that were like, listen, it cannot be Call of Duty all the time. We want to give these studios a break from Call of Duty. Probably why there's no Call of Duty next year. Now, Warzone is still going to be supported, sure. Warzone 2 is launching this November. That leaked. Whether that's true or not, we'll know soon enough. But it's very exciting to see that two of the biggest studios, best known for their first-person shooting action that Sony claims they can't live without, are going to be making new IPs that are going to be exclusive to the Xbox brand once this deal goes through. So you know what? I'm going to open up with Fuzzy on this one. Fuzzy, This is super interesting. And I want to get your thoughts on it, because then we will then slide into what Jim Ryan had to say. We're going to open up with what Phil Spencer said last week. And then we're going to figure out whether or not there is going to be a response or a rebuttal from Microsoft, because I think there should be. I think that, again, the mere fact that Jim Ryan feels content enough to say that, oh, well, this isn't good enough for our players, suggests that he has brass balls of steel. And I think that he is in a position not to demand anything. I know that there's been a lot of talk, Fuzzy, about Microsoft needing the PlayStation money, but you know what? Maybe they don't. Maybe Warzone is the only thing that they're talking about. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's everything on Xbox and tough titty. But you know what? Let's get back to Treyarch and Infinity Ward. Are you excited to see these studios that have been in what considered by many, especially Kay Asante, who's listening, the salt mines of Call of Duty for years, to make new IPs using the tech and technology? Well, that's the same thing. The tech that they've used in Call of Duty all of these years.
Yeah, it's very interesting, considering that they're now going to have, I guess, a lot more creative freedom in reference to something different than what they've been in rotation for several years now. And if it's going to be more of like a space theme, like Mass Effect kind of game, this also makes it so Xbox, if the deal goes through, well, when the deal goes through, I should say, because more confidence in that. But when the deal goes through, they'll have something that can kind of counter Destiny if Sony should convince, Bungie to change their, mind or something down the road. But I think the big thing now is that I would love to see a lot of those studios that have been working solely on Call of Duty every other year or every couple of years do something different. Like, look at like Playground with Fable. I mean, yes, it definitely seems like quite a bit of a stretch from what they're normally working on, but I'm very excited to see when devs change, direction. A lot of times it hits in a good way, especially like if you look at like Guerrilla Games, they did Killzone, and it was a decent game and a lot of people enjoyed it, but it didn't quite meet the target that they were looking for. But Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West were a lot more, I guess you could say, of an attractive game in comparison for their player base. So having Treyarch and Infinity Ward do something different. I mean, yes, I do like some of their Call of Duty stuff a bit better than some of the other studios, but I would really like to see what else they have up their sleeves as far as things that, now that they've been doing this for so long with Call of Duty, update the engine, up whatever other implementations that they've been able to work on and become familiar with. I would love to see that apply to like a space, shooter or a space fantasy type game in the vein of like a Mass Effect, or maybe as far as like almost like a Destiny type game. That would be kind of cool.
It would. And what it could potentially do is bring a new, first of all, anytime you bring a new IP to your platform, it's a big deal. Now, one of the scary things about new IPs is sometimes they don't hit. Yeah. So there's potentially a lot of wasted development dollars could usually is what scares a lot of the bigger publishers and developers from taking that chance. It's usually very lucrative to stick with a title that sells well and keep cranking out the things. This particular deal, though, because so many studios have worked on Call of Duty over the past decade, it's really refreshing that, and again, I don't know if this is Activision turning a new leaf, unlikely, or the influence of Microsoft coming in and saying, hey, listen, this is what we intend to do once we own everybody. What do you got? Because these kinds of ideas could have been presented to Activision brass, and they were like, listen, we shelve it. We just don't have the time. Call of Duty, 100 studios, go. You know what I'm saying? And if in fact, and I think that this is going to be something that we're going to start seeing even more so make the news. You're going to have places like Toys for Bob that might have a new IP in mind. Maybe, because remember, a couple of years ago, they said publicly that they would love to do a Banjo-Kazooie. I've been calling for that for years, so let them go crazy.
Yeah.
Then you talk about the team, and refresh my memory if you can, that did Singularity. Who did Singularity?
I don't think it was Raven, was it?
Yes, Raven Software. Yes, it was. Thank you so much for that. Raven Software, who, if you didn't play Singularity, folks, I got to tell you, it is probably one of the biggest gems of the 360 PS3 era. Like it's a decade or more old, but it's still one of the best games. I guarantee you didn't play. Listen, before we get to Web Dave, let me bring up, we've got quite a few super chats that have come in. A couple of new channel members. I think I might have made mention on the last show. Double X Wolverine Double X is a new channel member. Thank you so much for that, brother. And Tom from Toonami. I did read it because your name is so unusual that popped out. So you're a new channel member. Thank you so much for that. We encourage you to help support the channel through super chats, through channel memberships, because we really do love doing the big giveaways, and there are 3 big ones coming, folks. $2,000 over the next 3 giveaways, one at the end of this month, one at the beginning of November, and the big one, $1,000, our biggest giveaway ever, is happening this holiday, and everyone is welcome and everyone is entered. If you are in the chat, you get automatically entered. If you drop super chats, you get an additional entry. If you're a channel member and sub to the channel, you get extra entries. And folks, we cover everything. We will never ask you for a dime. If you win a digital prize and you're, let's say, in England or Africa or anywhere else in the world, we will get you that money through PayPal. We'll have you, if you don't have PayPal, you're going to have to open one up because it's safer for us and we don't get scammed. We transfer the money. We pay all transfer fees. And if your dollar in your country is more, we pick up that tab. We don't ask for anything. And it's something that we're very proud to do because, well, the community has supported this channel since November 3rd of 2017. And we just, we're coming in on our first 5 years. And we want to say thanks. But, Web Dave, let's talk about Treyarch. Let's talk about Infinity War. Mm-hmm. This is a big deal. This is a really, really big deal because as great as Call of Duty is, maybe Microsoft takes a look down the road and says, you know what? Maybe Call of Duty should only come out every 3 years. Warzone is going to be Warzone, and people are going to love this free-to-play shenanigans. But at least I love Call of Duty for its single-player campaigns. That's why I play it.
That's great.
And having one come out every 2 or 3 years allows for teams to fill in those gaps with games that are potentially new IPs using the built and tried and true engine. Are you excited to see what these studios can do that's not Call of Duty?
Yes. That was
all right. Well, there you go, folks. You said yes.
Oh, geez. No, yes, of course. They have so much potential. Obviously, they work for this, for this company because of their professionalism, their expertise, their ability to get things done, and giving them the time off. And I know I still think it's going to be every 2 years. I don't foresee them stretching it out to 3. It
makes too much money for it to be every 3. But you know what? If they did and they had new IPs that had these kind of traits of Call of Duty, they wouldn't miss a beat, especially because they're going to be in Game Pass day and date.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. And then but plus with basically having 2 different Call of Duties, the Warzone and the main line Call of Duty, that gives them the ability to focus on the other while there's something else still available, for the community. They can add new content and a whole bunch of maybe new levels and new things to Warzone to appease, the Call of Duty fanboys, for that time period as they make the next amazing Call of Duty game. This one looking really, really good. So far, it's looks like it's going to blow everybody out of the water. I'm looking forward to it, and I haven't looked forward to a Call of Duty game in a long time, to be honest. It hasn't been my bag, but I'm really looking forward to the new one from the video release that they had. I guess the unveiling of it, and some gameplay, and I was like, I might have to try this again. And then, hopefully someday at some point, Call of Duties will just come into Game Pass day and date. And that's going to be wonderful. It's going to be
it's going to be wonderful because
right, Jim?
Yeah. Well, too bad for Jim. No. Why it's going to be great is because Microsoft is making it easier, more affordable to have people in the conversation. See, this is one of the things that goes unspoken about on most podcasts. Like most of us want to come on here and yell at one side or the other, whether right, wrong, or indifferent, right? And I get it. It's good for views, it's good for likes, all that other great stuff. But at the end of the day, there are some finite details, Dreadpool, that get left off the table of conversation. And that's why I love having these gentlemen on here for Breakfast with Boom and all of my other shows who are sprinkled with so many intelligent people from this community that we can come here and we can have a conversation where people aren't yelling at each other. And one of those finite details is the Xbox Friends and Family plan that has not launched here, but we have heard from the same Twitter user that broke the story initially that he has found more notes regarding the US launch. Now, how long is that going to take? I honestly don't know. But what I can say, Dread, is that when you look at the broader picture, Nintendo's service, well, it's it's a thing, right? I mean, I have it. Mrs. Boom has it, so we can play online. When we play Animal Crossing. But I have the extra stuff for all of the the games that they add. Like I like Wave Race. Oh my god, I'm playing Wave Race on a freaking Switch. Holy shit, it's awesome. Sony's is a $3 more, and they don't give you day and date. They did give their one new game as it opened up with Stray, which Stray is great. If you haven't played Stray and you like cats, play Stray. It's freaking awesome. And they added Deathloop, and they did what that's very Sony, right? Let's put salt in the wound. Let's add Deathloop because it's not on the Xbox yet. And F you, everyone, right? That's really what I got out of it. But then you look over at Microsoft, and in an era where we're right now, and I bring this up, people forget that things are so expensive. Gas is still $5 a gallon in some places. Loaves of bread are more expensive. I like Poland Spring, folks. It's usually 3 for $10. I just came out of the store. It's 3 for $13.99. That's a $4 increase on effing water, right? So everything is expensive. But somehow Microsoft has figured out a way, Dread, to say, listen, $5 a month for you and 4 of your friends or your family members. The only caveat is they have to live in the same country. Not a big deal, right? I think everyone here has 4 additional family members that you like and don't hate, or friends that you like or don't hate. That you're like, hey guys, let's get a Cash App going. $5 a month from everybody. This is good. And it's not like we're sharing perks. Like, hey, Dread, don't take that perk this week because I need that for my game. Everyone gets Game Pass Ultimate on top of already first-party games. Monster third-party games, specifically in Xbox Game Pass this year. Dread, when you hear everything that they're doing, and now you hear development houses, storied development houses like Treyarch and Infinity Ward are making new IP that are eventually going to be in Xbox Game Pass. What does that say to you, man?
It says to me the guys that said Game Pass, it's a never was.
I know who those guys
wrong.
are. We know who they are. We won't speak about them, but we know who they are.
But that, and that's the thing. That was the same mentality with Netflix, and Netflix became the number 1 streaming platform for movies and shows, and now Disney's finally jumped in and conquered it. But and that's what we want. We want that competition between Netflix and Disney. Same thing here. This is what we want. We want competition, right? Sony's first into the market of streaming games. What did they do? Nothing. They let it flop. Xbox being in last place had to figure out something, and they figured it out. Okay, well, this is what we're going to do, and everybody's like, well, this is silly. But what is Microsoft? Microsoft is literally a software company. It's in the name, soft, right? That's what they do. And Phil figured out a way to make Xbox a software company, even though they still make hardware, because they make the Surface, the Surface Pro, and all that stuff. It's hardware, but that's not really their bread and butter. Their bread and butter has always been software and services. So he figured out how to do this. And now, not only did he do that, they looked at the next step, which is, well, you could do your console game sharing, right, per se, without, the little cheat that they've acknowledged is kind of a cheat that they didn't intend on doing that way, but they welcomed it and said, you know what, we'll let it slide. And now they've taken it to the next step. Now you can still do that, theoretically. You should be able to do that. But now you can share your Game Pass, your Ultimate Game Pass, with your friends and family. So that's 4 extra people. That's, you know, and now you're looking at the metrics, right? What were they doing? We stopped counting console sales because we cannot compete with what Sony's putting out sales wise. So we're doing metrics. What did Sony do after that? They started counting metrics also. So PlayStation's counting the metrics of users, but they're still throwing it out there, and that's where the console war is still going on with how many is sold. Who cares how many sold? As long as you have income coming from the software, and that's always been the main thing, is you sell the console at a loss to get your money back on the software side. You know, and today is more true than it ever has been in the past, because they don't have to press the CDs. They don't have to press cartridges like Nintendo does. That's why their prices are still up and they never drop. But, you know, everything's digital now, right? So it's cheaper for them. They don't have to store it. They don't have to put it on a shelf. They don't have to do nothing. It's just in a server somewhere. You have your DRM saying that, yes, you purchased this and now you have access to this. Boom. Same thing with Game Pass. Now you have access to these online games, these digital games. You know, not online was improper terminology, but these digital games that you can play anywhere. You can download it to your console. You can download it to that console. As long as you log in, you have access to it. You know, and now 4 other people. Now you have a total of 5 on one person. So there's guaranteed one person is paying for 5 accounts. So you look at that metric. They're pushing those numbers. They're pushing it in their favor. You know, this is definitely a war. You know, kumbaya, yeah, but you know, you don't walk up to your enemy telling them that you're coming in for a fight. You know, you walk up to them slowly. You walk and watch what they're doing before you even swing. You know, sometimes you let them swing first. And we've seen Sony swing at them
nothing
left
wrong with
and right.
studying your enemy. Nothing wrong with that.
Right. So you come in peacefully, but be prepared to swing hard. And that's what Xbox is doing now. They're coming back and they're swinging hard. You know, what do we say? We want something better from them. We want them to do better. You know, aha, you're last place. You know, you guys can't do anything. We want them, you know, well, they stepped up to the plate. They just didn't let you know that they were creeping and crawling before they stood up and said, biatch, here we are. So, but yeah, it's just, this is all planned, and it's a coordinated attack, you know, and that's the main thing. You know, they're coming back and with full force, and for this to be friends and family, it's a no-brainer. You know, yet again, they're doing more competitive wise to gain our money, which is what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be fighting each other to fight for our money. Now it's I'd say PlayStation's turn, but we've seen what they've done. So that's later on for the topics.
Yeah, we're going to break down exactly what they've done, and quite frankly, Sony has been responsible for some of the most egregious anti-consumer, anti-competitive shenanigans for what seems like decades, and now they've been called to the carpet regarding having Microsoft spend some really big bucks, and like I said in many of my tweets. Microsoft is the company that's investing damn near $70 billion, and somehow or another, Jim Ryan and company feel that a deal that extends Call of Duty on their platform, giving them the most valuable thing in business, and that's time, demanding and suggesting that that's not good enough. I'm like thrown for a loop here, but listen, we're going to get to that topic right now. I'm just going to rip off this Band-Aid. But before we do, ladies and gentlemen, I got to catch up on some of the Super Chats. Been quite a few of them. And even before then, I got to shout out the development company. They're an indie studio. They're called Happy Volcano. If you don't know who they are, well, you're probably going to want to, because they are on the 14th of September releasing You Suck at Parking. And I bring that up because they reached out to Double Barrel Gaming, and they asked me if I wanted a review code, and I said yes because I saw the trailers, and I really think that it's going to be a fun game. So I'm not going to be doing a quote unquote video review. I'm going to be talking about it probably on next week's Xbox Factor podcast.
Nice.
I downloaded it. I have not yet played it because obviously life has been, well, like they say, you suck at parking. Life has been kind of sucky the last couple of days, but it is getting better, and I'm definitely going to play over the weekend. But let's bring up, folks, why we're all here, why we're all mad as all hell. And in a report or a story that was written by Tom Warren of The Verge, this came out September 2nd, 2022, and is posted at 2:52 p.m. our time. And this lead story says Microsoft will keep Call of Duty on PlayStation for several more years beyond existing deal. And we have learned, thanks to Tom Warren, that there was a letter in January written by Phil Spencer to Jim Ryan. And this is what that letter said, folks. It says, I quote, in January, we provided a signed agreement to Sony to guarantee Call of Duty on PlayStation with feature and content parity for at least the next, at least several more years beyond the current Sony contract. An offer that goes well beyond typical gaming industry agreements. And that, of course, comes way of Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer. So we got this information, and there were a lot of people that were trying to pick this thing apart. How many years? Is it 3 years? Is it 2 years? Is it 10 years? Is it infinity? Well, it's not. It turns out that it's 3 years. And we learned that because, well, Jim Ryan didn't want to take this lying down. And in a story that was posted by GameIndustry.biz, this comes the way of Christopher Dring. He is the head of gaming. It was published on September 7th, nearly 5 days after the Microsoft interview with The Verge. He felt it was important to clear the air or make it known that his gamers are not being brought to the front line and the velvet rope being moved for all PlayStation gamers. While the Xbox gamers, well, you guys going through the back way. Well, this is what he had to say. And this is not only egregious, it's ballsy. It is arrogant. It is, in my opinion, utterly disgusting when you consider you are not investing anything. Sony, folks, let's call a spade here. They're not owed shit. And if Microsoft wants to make Call of Duty exclusive after their deal, which I think they should do now. You want me to be a dick? This is what I would do. I would be like, we offered them the deal and they spat in our face. So you know what? After 2024, in the words of the late and great Richard Pryor, tough titty. Now it's exclusive across the board. But Microsoft, being the good guys that they are, they're probably going to stick to that deal. And they say 2027, that's the deal. We're giving you an additional a total of 6 years, including this year, which they have the marketing rights to not only Modern Warfare 2, which is going to sell like hotcakes and make them a lot of money, but Warzone 2, which is going to be. So think about this for a second, folks. Think about what Microsoft has offered in this deal. And this is bonkers, right? This is unheard of in gaming. For the remainder of this generation, which is expected to run through 2027, right? Usually these generations are 7 years and we get new hardware, right? Unless there's mid refreshes. And I don't think we're going to get that because both of these consoles are very powerful. So I think that in 2027, what we're talking about is Call of Duty is going to be known as the home of PlayStation because they have the marketing rights and they spend a lot of money on marketing. Why wouldn't they? They said in their financials that Call of Duty is the number one moneymaker when it comes to third-party games, right? They make so much money off of Call of Duty, folks, that they have sat on their hands for years since they got this marketing rights, and they have been making money, bags of money after money every year, each and every year, so much so that they have sat on their hands and they have kept their own IP that could rival Call of Duty, something like a SOCOM. If SOCOM gets a AAA development budget, it could be as big and as popular as Call of Duty, because quite frankly, I would be more than happy to play that. And if they made it free to play, holy shit, it'd be a gold mine for them. But they have depended on what Sony does, and one of their biggest sins is sitting on their hands and allowing the old ways to make money. Let's just, it's going to be Call of Duty, and what do they do with the money they make from Call of Duty? They lock down marketing rights. They money hat games. They pay blocking fees to to developers not to put games onto the Xbox. All of which would be considered by anyone that has a quarter of a brain to be anti-consumer, anti-competitive, right? I don't think I'm going on a limb here. So this is what Jim Ryan had to say, folks. He says this: I hadn't intended to comment on what I understood to be a private business discussion, but I feel the need to set the record straight because Phil Spencer, and he calls him to the carpet, folks, brought this into the public forum. And he continues, Microsoft has only, look at this, the balls, has only offered Call of Duty to remain on PlayStation for 3 years after the current agreement between Activision and Sony ends. Now, folks, it has been confirmed that deal doesn't end until 2024. Add 3 years, 2027. Well, that's pretty freaking good. And he continues with this. Where I lost my place. After almost 20 years of Call of Duty on PlayStation, their proposal was inadequate on many levels and failed to take account of the impact on our gamers. We want to guarantee PlayStation gamers continue to have the highest quality Call of Duty experience, and Microsoft's proposal undermines this principle. I mean, holy shit, folks. I am literally flabbergasted. But before we get into this hot and heavy topic, we're closing in on 400 people here. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to ask for a couple of favors. Hit the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel. And more importantly, share this on social media. Let people know that we're live and that we can get... I'd love to see 500 people in here this morning. But let me catch up on Super Chats because, man, there's been a lot of them. The first one of the day comes the way of Drawn TJ, my brother. I hope that you are well. It's great to see you here. He drops a very generous $2 Super Chat and says, good morning, guys. And we say good morning to you, Drawn TJ. Shooter2853, who was under the weather. Your ticker has been bothering you. I hope you're feeling better, brother, because, well, without the ticker, we can't be alive, and we want to keep you in this community, and certainly not because you're generous, because you are a big part of the community, and you always have some really interesting and cool things to say, especially on Twitter. Follow him on Twitter, absolutely. He drops a very generous $15 Super Chat and says, good morning, Boom, Mrs. Boom, Web Dave, Dreadpool, and Fuzzy. Please make me smile with one of your great shows, and I hope that we're doing that already, brother, because I know you've been under the weather, and, man, there's nothing more important than health. So we're happy to have you here. And if I actually responded to you on Twitter, he was actually sad, sorry that he missed the show. Listen, never be sorry to miss a show. First of all, you can catch it on video on demand, but I'd rather you be better and well. So don't even ever sweat that. Highlander 001, who's been a member for 2 months, drops an outstanding $5 Super Chat and says, good morning, everyone. Boom, sending positive vibes and thoughts for your mom. I can see Jim Ryan losing his job if PlayStation loses Call of Duty. It's possible. And yeah, my mom is doing much better. Wednesday was not good at all. We were unbelievably concerned, but she's a tough old crow. I'll tell you that. She is definitely one of the tough ones. And, I talked to her this morning. I'm going to see her right after the show. She is doing much better. Not out of the woods, not by a long shot, but she's better today. And I'm going to take the one day at a time approach and be happy that I was able to talk to her. So thank you for that. And, of course, thank you for the kind words. He drops an additional $10 Super Chat. And he says, the British government declared a 14-day period of national mourning, for the passing of the Queen that happened yesterday. She passed away at 96. Another one that really, lasted a long time. And says, so I don't expect to hear anything from England, New Zealand, Australia, or on the ABK. Yeah, I believe that as well. And that's fine. Obviously, people are more important than corporations, right? I mean, at least that's what I believe. Danny Passion Official. Danny, what's going on, brother? Thank you for being here, but thank you for the generosity. He says this after dropping a very generous $5 super chat. Quick question. I completed my purchase of the Steam Deck. Anyone know how long they take to deliver it after payment completion? That's a good question.
It's,
you know who
2
I
to
would
5 days.
Oh,
2 to
there you
5
go.
days, business
Okay.
days. Yep.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
After processing, you got to remember there's processing involved.
Yeah. So Dave has one. Everyone has
Yes.
one, but Boom. I don't want one. It's just not my bag. It's too techy for me. I want to press power and play.
You don't want an HD switch? Wink, wink.
I have an HD switch actually. But I'm going to get the HD switch lookalike in the form of the Logitech one that Tencent and Nvidia teamed up for, and I'm going to buy that whenever that releases. Tom from Toonami drops a very generous $10 super chat, and he's recently become a channel member. Thank you, Tom, for that. He says, if you are a regulator, what are you thinking right now? So you refuse a 6-year deal from Microsoft. What do you realistically want us to get you from Microsoft? They won't just refuse and take us to court over it. And we're going to bring that up because you very rarely see where a company that's going to spend as much money as Microsoft is going to allow for your company to still be the face of said expensive IP, most prominent and most money-making IP. Sony is going to be known for the remainder of the generation as the house of Call of Duty. Somehow that's not good enough for Jim Ryan, but I have a strong suspicion as to why they stopped it in 2027, because 2028 is going to be a new generation, potentially new hardware, specifically for Xbox. And boy, oh boy, could you imagine if they're announcing that with this new console, the Call of Duty, the newest next generation Call of Duty is launching day and date in Game Pass and is console exclusive? Whoa, that would be a hot story. But we will get to that momentarily. We have Alex Cullion drops a very generous $5 super chat, and thank you for that, brother. He says this. Oh man, come on. What is this on my screen? Vamadi, hold on a sec. Okay, thank you. He says this, let's not forget Sony blocked the last Street Fighter from coming to Xbox last gen. Yes, they absolutely did. They absolutely did. Jacob Novick drops a very generous $2 super. Oh no, is that 20 or 2? Let me just see in the chat because I don't want to get it wrong. Jacob, thank you for being here, brother. And of course, thank you for the extreme generosity as always. Let me just make sure what that is. I don't know if it's 2 or I think it is 2. Just confirm. Just a second. Listen, I'll come back to it in a second. I just want to find it because I want to give you the proper shout out. So thank you so much for the generosity. We will come right back to you. Fuzzy, let's talk about it. There's a lot to discuss here. I feel free for Dread and Webb and Fuzzy, take as much time as you want, because this is not something that can simply be broken down with, yeah, Jim's wrong, Phil's right. It is. I mean, you can be simplistic and say that because, quite frankly, it's the truth. Phil Spencer has offered a deal all the way back in January that I think, like he said, certainly goes well beyond the regular business practicing that goes on in gaming. But for Jim to come out, I kind of think he stepped on his you-know-what by coming out with this, to be honest with you. And I think that when you look at and I love the super chat. If you were a regulator and you're looking at, potentially determining whether an entity like Microsoft is going to take over the industry in the next 5 years, because that's usually that's where they look for, especially like the CMA. They look into the future, and I still think that at some point, Microsoft in the next couple of years, who can't put Call of Duty on their Xbox Game Pass until 2025, essentially, is still going to probably be in third place. So how is it that Jim Ryan isn't satisfied with a deal that brings us to the end of this generation. I am literally flabbergasted at this, but I want to hear your opinion.
The best that I can look at Jim's take on this is that he's got a posture in his company's best interest, and put up that face for the general public that may not be aware of their dealings and how they keep things exclusive or kind of money hat things to an extent where you have special modes or cosmetics or bonuses and like a battle pass and such. So it it just comes across as like if I was the regulator and I actually did the research that should be done for this whole deal, it would just definitely come across kind of double standard-ish as far as, okay, so you don't want them to make this exclusive. You didn't think the 3-year, olive branch that they handed you was good enough, but yet you have other, products that you've intentionally kept off for 2 years. So anything over that 2-year arrangement, I think is more than enough, frankly. But you're still keeping things off of that particular platform. It's not like you're intentionally keeping certain things off of Nintendo. There are certain things that are on both platforms, both PlayStation and Nintendo. And these guys over here said that they want to put it on all platforms. But you have a problem with the 3-year olive branch, and you're afraid that you won't be able to negotiate something in your player base's best interest, yet you just raised prices on a model that's a couple of years old that you've reiterated twice already to kind of cut costs or save some of your expenses as far as the production is concerned. So it's brass balls is the polite way of putting it, but I think honestly, a lot of this stuff is probably going to come to light because I can't imagine Brad Smith, taking this lightly or letting these things just, kind of fester in the CMA's ears or even the FTC's ears as far as, the narrative for this whole deal. I have to believe that they have probably a 20-point PowerPoint set up, displaying each one of the hypocritical things he said in that statement, where they're doing exactly what they don't want Microsoft to do. And it just comes across funny to me in the sense that they're actually going to try to put this out. Like, if you're going to put something out in the public space, like, okay, sure, Phil, made the tweets and stuff like that, but it wasn't like he was, yes. Are they going to, try to, and it's not even spin. It's they're going to make a public statement that is welcoming to all player base. It's not like they're intentionally trying to deceive, because you can't do this perpetual or like an indefinite, olive branch of, oh, will always be, because what happens when, Sony decides to do something silly like another cell processor in the future and go with something that's totally different as far as programming is concerned. And it might wind up being a big hindrance and pain in the butt to kind of code for that, to make that, that particular port. You can't blindly, extend that type of offering. But the 3-year deal to me just basically puts it as, okay, you have more time to get your house in order as far as if you want to do a SOCOM or whatever else you want to do, and then you come back to the table in another 3 years. And I think that's a good window, considering, especially if they're going to go to like an every other year release type of deal instead of this annual release type of deal with the mainline Call of Duty as opposed to Warzone. So yeah, it I don't know. I'm not pissed off at it. I just find it comical. It shows the mindset for the brass over at Sony and PlayStation in comparison. And yes, none of these guys are our friends or looking out for our best interest. They're looking out for their investors' best interests. But when you make statements that contradict some of your own actions, it just comes across very disingenuous. And if you're so concerned about your PlayStation player base, but yet you had no concern for the Xbox player base this previous gen. Why should anybody listen to you now? And if you don't really care as much for your player base because you've raised costs on games and raised costs on hardware, it's like, do you really care about your player base, or is it just that they're, an open wallet that you can, nickel and dime here and there? But yeah, that's all I have to say on it. I know Web Dave and Dreadpool have a lot more to add to it, but man, it's PS3 era, arrogance all over again. Is about the best way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, shout out to Alexander B in the chat. First of all, if you're finding the channel for the first time, Alexander, welcome to the program. He says, I think the deal might have been blocked because Phil used to have a picture on his Twitter showing Activision Blizzard and Microsoft, and now its picture's gone. Listen, Alexander, I should say, that is far from the truth. The deal has not been blocked. As a matter of fact, someone actually just put in there that they specifically asked Facebook. The CMA asked Facebook, and they said no, they don't have a problem with the deal. So the deal is going to go through. The only way that this deal doesn't go through is if some entity can find the deal to be illegal, to be that Microsoft is going to snuff out all competition outside of itself. None of that could be proven. Microsoft is still going to be number 3 in the marketplace. Think about that for a second. They're making this investment, and they're still going to be number 3. I don't understand how, if you were a regulator, even if you look 5 years into the market, all the way through 2027, Sony is going to be known as the box that has Call of Duty marketing rights, and they're going to market the shit out of it. Now, it's never going to go into their service because they want you to pay, $76.43. They want you to spend money on microtransactions, and you know what? If you are a diehard Call of Duty fan, that's probably where you're going to play. So, I only way that this deal gets blocked is if Microsoft's very high power attorneys like Brad Smith stumble, and it's unlikely that anyone can prove of anything. And like I said, Sony has made it very easy for Microsoft to say, wait a second. They're complaining about Call of Duty, but they have used this IP to bury us for years. I mean, I didn't know this because I don't play Call of Duty online. Isn't Zombies still not on Xbox? Can anyone confirm that? I know they had it for a year. Like a Zombies mode that has been a part of Call of Duty for a decade, maybe more, is only on PlayStation, and you want to point the finger at Microsoft and say, oh, they're doing something wrong? Like, holy cow. Dredd, I want to get your opinion on it. You said you're going to have a different opinion. Whatever it is, it's your opinion. I can't wait to hear it. What are your thoughts on Jim Ryan's complaints and his response, his open response to what Phil Spencer had to say?
Well, first of all, we really don't know other than what was posted publicly, right? So there could be some other things that were underlying. I'm going to play devil's advocate here, but to call for Phil's head seems a little of an overreach, right? We're going to support somebody that's purposely charging extra dollars for games, extra dollars for console when we know it's cheaper. Although we know that the console, when it comes to supply and demand, right? I can't get stuff that I need for my jobs. I can't even close out my jobs because of the fact that other people can't bring in the products that they need to bring in to install. You know what I mean? So when it comes to the supply and chain issue, that there is some legitimacy as to why they would decide to raise the price. Okay, but nobody else is doing it. I mean, even with the products that we're waiting on, they're the same price still. Some devices have gone up in price, but for the most part, they're still the same price. It's just, we just got to wait longer is what it is. And I think the way that he's doing this is not right. So, but again, going back and forth on the words that were said back and forth, everything is literally between the two of them manipulated to their own degree, right? So they're not going to say anything that would slip up and screw them up. Everything is articulate. Everything is purposeful, right? And then we have people that are trying to decipher this, and that's why they articulate and purposely say what they say, so you cannot misinterpret what is being said. Okay, and this is from
can I add something to that, Dredd? Because you're really putting down some great points, and I absolutely agree 1,000%. But here's the thing: yes, they're going to frame their specific corporate speak, right, and it's going to be to benefit their company. No one's taking that away. But it's what is frustrating, what is upsetting, what is disappointing is that when Microsoft is speaking about having others play that they've never played before, or getting new people, or allowing for people to be a part of the conversation and make it more affordable, you understand, because this is how Microsoft has always been. But this is not how Sony has always been. Sony continues to manipulate the market. And I get it, it's business. But this kind of talk from Jim Ryan is a farce, as opposed to what Phil Spencer's saying.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So if they're crying that they're not going to be, it's like they're crying that Microsoft and Xbox are going to be the death of them. But it's funny, they're not going to die. They're being included on all of this. It's just now they won't have the advantage. Nobody will have the advantage, other than if you look at it properly, the only advantage would be the fact that it's in Game Pass. So if I'm paying, let's say $25, we know it's like 22 something, whatever. So let's just round it up for the US, $25. $25, that's $5 a person. That opens up for the fact that my buddy might be like, yeah, you know what? I'm never buying any Call of Duty whatsoever. But I could convince him and say, hey, look, we're all getting together. Why don't you just jump in? All you got to do is download it. What's the problem? We just download it, delete it after you're done, and then move on to something else. Maybe you'll like it and you'll play with more people again. But that's the advantage of something like Game Pass. It gets you in there, and it gets you to do that. And that's what Sony doesn't want, obviously. They want to go by the old metrics, by the old formats, and get you to buy the game so you're locked in no matter what. We also grew up in the time and day, for those of us here on the panel for sure. Renting from Blockbuster was never a bad thing, nor a mom and pop store. It was the thing to do, and if you really liked the game, you bought it. And this is still the same application. So all they're doing is they're setting it up so any mom and pop store, Blockbuster, Best Buy, even Amazon can sell you the game, but you're able to rent it from your local place, which would be Game Pass in this
Indeed.
instant.
Yeah.
So yes, there is an advantage, and that's what it's funny how the way that Sony targets it, like this advantage is such a huge advantage, which it could be, because if you don't market it right to say, hey, come over here and buy the game from us, what's going to happen? You're going to go to what is the least path of resistance for your cash flow.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So you want to keep as much cash, and you know what? That's great. You want to buy the highest tier car that you can afford. Hey, have at it. But if you can get by with the same thing for the lower tier to get by and give yourself some transportation. I mean, back in the day, I know some of you guys might not know this car, but back in the day they were selling Yugos. Right?
I know I'm old because I know exactly what
right?
you're talking about.
Those were cheap cars. Those were
They
even
were very
cheaper.
cheap. They barely ran, dude.
But they got you from point A to point B, right? And what are we doing today? Today's equivalent would be the electric bicycles, right? You charge up your pedal bike, and it gets you from point A to point B. Is it the coolest thing ever? No. But guess what? It's transportation, especially down here in Florida with the heat. You need that extra pedal power so that way you can kind of like relax a little bit and get some of that wind in your face. But that's the thing, right? That's what you want. You want to have this stuff set up. Sony is obviously fighting against it because they know when it comes to something like this, we're still walking, but they're getting on a pedal bike with the electric on it. This isn't fair. They're going to get there faster than we are. It's the same scenario here. They're crying over little things that don't really mean much, and it's sad that a lot of people are fighting for this. And like we talked about the CMA, where they're instead of fighting for the people, they're fighting for Sony, right? We want the competition. That's what we've been saying. We want Xbox to compete, right? They're competing. Why is Sony not competing? They're competing. They're just crying. They're doing the whole bully as a victim mentality here. They're still doing this.
That's exactly what they're doing, bro. That is a great analogy. That is exactly what they're doing.
And it's so mesmerizing sometimes that you see these people fight over it, and it's like, we shouldn't be fighting over it. We should be discussing. We should be having conversations. And when we see something wrong, we should be standing up and fighting against it, right? Remember when Xbox, the idiot there decided to raise the price and doubled the price on all
what
that?
did we all do? We all called them to the carpet. Everyone. First of all, before you continue, folks, we have a guest making his first appearance ever on anything Double Barrel Gaming. We'll get right back to Dreadpool. Psychonauts, you were on last night's PM in the PM, which, if you missed it, was freaking absolutely fantastic. We will get your points momentarily. But Dreadpool, yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. You are 1,000% right, but please continue.
And this is the problem. We have to remember, we are gamers. We are not, I mean, yes, we have favorite platforms. We have a favorite place to play, favorite controller, favorite type of game. We have favorite colors.
Yes,
right?
we do.
So when we're all humans, and we all have a particular side that we lean to, no matter what the subject is, no matter what the topic is, no matter what the product is. We all have that thing. But we all have a common interest here, and that's games. We should have commonality when it comes to something like this, and standing up and calling out for it. This Jim Ryan calling out Xbox is not the commonality of gamers. It's the crying of like I said before, the crying of a bully victim mentality. We want this, but we're gonna call you out for the exact same practices we've been preaching and doing every single time to everybody else, right? I know it's not Sega. Sony didn't kill Sega all on their own. Sega had a helping hand with their own demise, but that's the problem, right? We want to see. Did we want to see Sega go out? Not very many of us. There's quite a few people that still love Sega. We still talk about the Dreamcast. We still talk about Genesis. We still, and for the most part, what do we talk about? We talk about those games. Crazy Taxi, Ready to Rumble. There was a lot of games like that. The shmups from back in the day. Those are still good games. And that's what we lost. We lost stuff like that, and this is what could happen again. Theoretically, I don't see it happening, but theoretically that could happen again. If they put anybody out of business, it doesn't matter who they is. If it's Microsoft or Sony, anybody putting any other company out of business is a bad thing for us, right? And at least Microsoft saying, look, we're trying to keep these games across the board for everybody. It's going to be day one parity across the board. So who knows? Maybe Sony is also looking at, we don't know. Has anybody, I have yet to hear anything other than Call of Duty going to Sony, no problem. Has Call of Duty been announced to go to Sony's streaming platform also?
No.
As
a matter of fact, there has been some talk, Dredd, that Sony was trying to get a decree put where Microsoft could not put Call of Duty into Game Pass.
Right.
And that is absolutely preposterous. And this is the thing, not to force Microsoft to put it into their streaming service. No. They want you to pay your $76.43. They just want Microsoft's decree, and this is where they would sue. This is if it took extra 6 months or 12 months to get this deal done, Microsoft would just sue because how dare you suggests that I shouldn't put the game that I just spent $70 billion to acquire, an IP, into my streaming service for my gamers.
It's like
I don't
me
care
buying,
about PlayStation gamers.
yeah, I'm buying $100 shoes, and you're going to tell me I can't go in my own car to drive down the road
Yeah, it's
in those shoes? I got to wear flip flops
ridiculous.
or slides or something. You know what I mean?
Ridiculous.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And you're just a passenger. What are you
Yeah.
to say? I'm taking you down the road with me.
I'm driving in
that's what
my
he's trying to
car
do.
that I own. Yes, that's great. Great. Another great, fantastic analogy. It's when you sit back, Dread, and you just, again, we're not lawyers, folks. We're not attorneys. We're not corporate stooges. We're not capping from one or the other. But when you just sit back for a second, take your fanboy hat off and throw it away, and just look at what this guy is saying, it is hard to believe that he feels this entitled. Like, it's bonkers to me.
He's acting like it's his own game.
Yes, indeed he is.
You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody saying you can't have this because it's mine, but you bought it. You know, or at least he's trying to buy it, you know. And I mean, I've seen similar situations where people are like, "Oh, you don't need this." Why? You have it, but why can't this person have it if I'm suggesting to them that this, you know, what this, you know, because I've helped people in the community with streaming setups and so forth, and I've had other people in the same party chat saying, "You don't need this. You don't know what you need." And the guy, and I'm talking with the guy, and he's like done the research and asking for opinions and you know, information, and I don't know if this will fit in my PC. No, it will fit. It'll do this, this, this. And then the guy jumps in and says, no, you don't know what you need. You don't need that.
Yeah,
Well, it's his money. It's his money. Let him do what he wants. And this is the same scenario. You're trying to tell somebody that they can't do this because you know better. It's their money, their situation. And I know it's not exactly one for one when it comes to this, but it's the same scenario. You're trying to prejudge and gatekeep somebody else from making a purchase that would benefit them.
Yeah.
Wait, you did the same thing.
No. At the end of the day, Microsoft is making this monster investment to compete, to give Sony a challenge at the number one position. Again, Microsoft isn't happy with third. They've been in third for nearly a decade. What is wrong with them making moves to potentially go to second? Or in fact, potentially and more than likely become number one. And if they do move Sony out of that position, what should Sony do? Well, Sony should compete then. Sony should invest in a big IP. Maybe they go out and they try and buy EA. Oh, that's right, because you know they can't. They can't. But they will continue to nickel and dime the hell out of its fan base with $10 charges for controllers, $50 charges for their 1200 model of the PS5, $3 more for their service that doesn't offer day and day. I mean, I can keep going on and on about how they nickel dime, and people suck it up and say, "Thank you, sir. Can I have another?"
You know, it's funny is I was just thinking about it. It just popped in my head. You know, we've talked about it before, but not in this context. Maybe they're a little butthurt because they bought Destiny, right? They bought Bungie basically and got Destiny, but they can't keep it exclusively on their platform according to the contract. Maybe they're butthurt on that, and they're like, you know what? We're going to take it on Xbox because now we're going to lose another one that we can't keep to ourselves.
Yeah,
just a thought. Just a thought.
It's a great thought. It's a great thought. And shout out to Dave to getting, of course, Nude HD, who just loves this channel. Jesus Christmas. I don't even know what to say.
I think Boss Mod jumped on him too. So
well, I mean, Lethal Papa's, he's obviously walks quietly and carries the big band stick. Listen, Dave, let's get you in on the conversation, and we'll bring Psychonauts in. But before I do, Dave, let me just go to the private chat and thank Chris R. Chris, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for the $5 super chat. He says this: the response to this makes me feel like we're being gaslit. How does nobody see the scummy stuff Sony has done for years and not see the irony? And I think, yes, this is irony at its absolute finest. But Dave, you've heard what Dreadpool had to say, myself as well as Fuzzy. All great points, but I'm interested to get yours Talk about this, man. Does this sound like an entitled, spoiled brat?
It is complete hypocrisy at its
Thank you, sir.
finest. It
Yeah.
is absolutely a. I'm like, Jim, would you like us to sit down and scroll through and talk about all the things that you and Sony have done to manipulate the market?
It's a
over
long
the
laundry
years?
list, I assure
Oh my
you.
God. And it's continuing to this day on things like, like the new Harry Potter game level for one thing. So, so the reason he's calling out this and the reason he's done this, obviously it makes him look foolish, but I think he's trying to bring home the point that woe is me. How can they, it's 20 years it's been on our system. Been 20 years on the other ones too, Bear Buddy. Sorry to inform you of that. It's been 20 years that that we've put up with a lot of your, buying exclusive levels, keeping things off of other platforms for a while. I get it. But Jimbo, that is the old way of doing things, and that is not going to fly today. It's just not going to happen. He sees the writing on the wall. There's no way this deal is being stopped. The deal is going to get done. There is just absolutely nothing that Microsoft is going to do with this purchase that is going to hurt the market at all. In fact, a lot of people are praising the purchase because they know that they are going to welcome in the unions. They are going to go after the bad actors that are in the company. They're going to weed them out, including their own CEO, who is guaranteed is going to be gone the first day once Phil takes the reins. It's just it's so many good things and positive things that are going to happen when Microsoft takes over. And Jim's just, he's beside himself. Some people are calling for, if Jim lets this deal go through, like he has really anything to do with it, that he should lose his job. Well, that's neither here nor there. That's up to Sony and their, and their CEOs and their other board members to decide that. But I got to say that his, calling out Microsoft in this way, this public way, calling out Phil Spencer directly, trying to seem like personalize it, like it's like Phil's on his, on his high horse, and how dare Phil offer us something so low? Phil does not have to give them anything beyond what's already good. And to be honest, the contracts that are in place, those can be bought out. They can be like, we're just not going to honor those, and they could actually, go to court over those. I mean, they may get sued, they may lose, but then when it comes down to it, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Microsoft has the money, the FU money, let's just say, to say that they can, they can do it, but they're not going to. They're going to play fair. They're going to play right. And I guarantee you, Phil's still going to say, you know what? Even after all this, although I think he should pull his offer, he's probably still going to give them the 3 years.
He's going to give them to the end of the generation. And I think that both, not only is it fair, but I think it's strategic.
Well, and boom, what is not in there? This is what Jim doesn't like, is that there's no exclusive thing for them. In other words, that next 3 years, there's not going to be any, we're going to give you an extra level that you can have.
Well, they're not going to have the marketing rights. That's actually
other than the actual
super smart point to bring up that a lot of us have not mentioned. So smart on you for that, Dave. Yeah, let me clarify what Dave is talking about.
Go ahead. And then
Microsoft has in fact offered an additional 3 years, bringing the deal for the years of 2025, 2026, 2027. And that's great. That means that the game, the actual IP, stays on Sony. What that doesn't mean, and that is something that has not been brought, maybe that's exactly what Dave is talking about. They're not allowing for Sony to hold those marketing rights any further. Their marketing right deal ends in 2024. So what happens is the marketing rights will, of course, then go to Microsoft, and they will be able for those years 24, 25, 26, and 27 put Call of Duty on the box of the Series X and S, or if there's a mid generation refresh, which I don't think there's going to be.
Right.
And Sony is going to have said game on their box. The problem and the reason why Sony and Jim Ryan are showing these crocodile tears, even though they're the bully, is that their market share potentially will shrink, and the amount of monies that they make from this third party IP are also going to shrink, because at that point, Game Pass is still going to be one of the most important things to the strategy for Microsoft. They have made all of the investments. Why should Sony be given carte blanche? But I'm going to stop. You continue.
Well, just another thing that was in the statement that Phil made was that they're going to have gaming parity, which what that means is that, like, if there is like new levels that are coming out for that game, they're going to be available on all the platforms that it comes out for. In other words, if Microsoft gets the whatever bonus level, they're going to make that available for the Sony players, available day and date when those are available. Now, you may have to pay for it if it's an extra purchase or whatever, but it's going to be available because that's what they're saying, like, okay, cool, we're going to let you sell this. We're going to let you continue to make your money off of it. You're just not going to be able to get the exclusives. You're just not going to be able to keep it from Game Pass because it's going to Game Pass. All the old IP is coming to Game Pass, and that's what absolutely kills them more than anything.
So what you're saying,
know.
so what you're initially saying is that Microsoft isn't going to lock zombies behind a 1-year exclusive deal like Sony has done to Xbox. I'm just saying.
That is, if you read that statement, he talks about the parity. In other words, what's good for us is going to be good for you. You will get what we get, which is again more than generous when you look at it, because they could actually do the whole flip of the card and say, now that it's ours, now that your original contracts are up, this extra 3 years, we'll give you a little Call of Duty here and there, and we'll give you what we want to give you, but we're not going to give you the zombies. They're not saying that. They're saying, Microsoft is saying, being the good guys and stepping up, we're going to give you everything that's going to be available for this next 3 years. Now, there'll be fanboys on Microsoft's side saying, why would you do that? 2 reasons. One, the game itself is going to make them a lot of money wherever it's at, whether it's on PC or Sony's system. And then with the ability to put it on Game Pass over those 3 years, you're going to see more and more people migrate to the Microsoft ecosystem, because you're saying I don't have to spend the $70 that Sony wants me to spend on this game, that I can just get it in Game Pass for $15 a month. Oh, wait, and there's a new level coming out that on my Sony system, they were going to charge an additional $30 to get this new bonus level and content, where with Microsoft, they're including it in Game Pass. Imagine that. Yeah. Those are the kind of things that they're going to, because Microsoft, all they have to do is just sit back and just let it out there and just be like, oh yeah, we have it here, and here you go. And Sony, goodwill, good on them, man. I'm telling you, I think that anybody that says that this deal is going to get blocked or that this is going to get stopped, they are absolutely not.
Well, they're either fanboying or not reading the room correctly, and more times than not, they're probably fanboying because there's literally so much evidence that has been presented from Microsoft themselves, but more so podcasters like us who are of sound mind. And even though we may prefer one platform or the other, we all support the other platforms. Whereas a lot of the Sony guys, that's all that they support. And of course, they want their team Blue to win.
Can I remind everybody something?
Sure.
greatness awaits for Call of Duty. Sorry.
Indeed it does, but not on PlayStation much longer. That's for sure.
Hey,
That's why it awaits.
Hey, Boom! I got one more thing to say.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Just one more little thing. A little thing I just want to say, Jim. Just so you know, when the deal is done,
game over.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, there's and that's the thing that's pretty interesting, because in business, as we know, technically the game should be over, but it's not going to be, because they have promised and sent a written document that says, no, we will give you Call of Duty till 2027. So they're doing, like Phil said, they are doing things that have normally do not have a place in actual real world business. They are allowing their competitor to have something called time, and time allows for you to develop a high quality AAA game like a SOCOM remake or SOCOM, free to play, that is rivaling Call of Duty. And I have a strong suspicion that a good, strongly developed AAA budgeted SOCOM would in fact do very well for Sony. And will it overtake the prowess that is Call of Duty? Well, that's entirely up to Sony to spend the development dollars to make it that it could. And that is competition. And that is something that Sony has been hiding behind with Call of Duty since they got the marketing rights from Microsoft those years ago. So at this point, what are you going to say? I think we've really been very clear here, but I want to welcome in Psychonauts. So first of all, great. Well, you guessed it, great yesterday on PM and the PM. You had a lot to say. I would imagine that you have a lot more to say. By all means, brother, take it away. Let's hear what you got to say about Jim Ryan's statement to, of course, Phil Spencer, and more importantly, the gaming world.
Well, thanks for having me, Boom. Yeah. So when I saw the statement that Jim Ryan put out there, it just baffled me with the fact that he's like Pong stated yesterday, like Sony is in a house of cards at the moment that Call of Duty, if taken away from them, that revenue, they crumble, which is asinine to me, truly, because you're telling me that no one on no studios that PlayStation has is able to create a game that will be top tier like Call of Duty. It's bonkers. I mean, you got SOCOM. You have so many other games that you could do. You could even do a brand new IP if you don't want to bring remake SOCOM. But it's to me, it's like he's putting up an act so the CMA or the DOJ can look at him and be like, oh, if Sony's out here saying that this is inadequate and egregious to what with Microsoft is doing, we need to look into this deal a lot more and scrutinize and really look into it. But when they do, they're going to see what Sony's been doing, and then they're going to be possibly like scratching their heads and say, well, nothing here is monopolizing the gaming world. Nothing here throws any red flags. It just seems that the revenue that you were making off of Call of Duty is no longer going to be there. So that is the real argument. And it's just, I don't know. It's crazy to Jim Ryan, because Sony, in the generations of PlayStation, we haven't seen PlayStation act like this in the industry. They seem scared. They seem off. They just don't seem their old the old Sony that we remember when in the gaming space. It's just from seeing everybody in that are complaining that Xbox is, or Microsoft should say, that what they're doing is bad for gamers, and no, it's not bad for gamers. It's great for gamers because it's going to be in a service like Game Pass. It's not good for Sony's wallet. That's what it comes down to. And seeing people on Twitter arguing and putting, and saying that, so Phil Spencer needs to be fired for, for this. And it's like, I don't get there's where they're coming from. It's I don't know. Just seeing that, they increased the console by $50. We saw the revision. The revision has a smaller heatsink, and then Austin Evans put out a video, and he believes that they're using a smaller die now.
Yep.
And we heard, last year that they're buying up 6 nanometer die set nodes for the PS5. So from what they're looking at, they say this could be the evolution of the PS5 Slim. So
yeah,
just today, who was it? It was I think Benji put out an article that said the PS5 has become #1 selling platform in 2022 in the UK. They jumped up 56% in August compared to July.
As a matter of fact, you know what? I have that literally right in front of it, and I will bring. I thank you for bringing that up. I didn't even know that. This is why we're glad to have you on the show today. So thank you so much for that. This comes directly from Benji Sales. If you don't know who Benji Sales is, you probably should. He covers video game industry with a focus on sales, data, social metrics, and business. He's been on this show a couple of times. Love to get Benji back. He actually just tweeted this 30 minutes ago, and it says this, folks. Breaking news. PlayStation 5 has surpassed the Nintendo Switch to become the #1 selling platform for 2022 in the UK. Wait a second. Didn't the CMA just say that they were worried about Sony's #1 position? Well, I mean, I'm no mathematician, but it says this. PlayStation 5 sales have jumped 56% in August as compared to July. 56%. And somehow the CMA is worried about Microsoft buying. This is why this deal is going through. And he says this, and this comes way of GameIndustry.biz. I'll add this to the link if you guys and gals want to read it for yourself. He says, seems PlayStation 5 stock continues to improve worldwide, could be headed for a big end of year for the console. Okay, so as we just read from Benji Sales, and thank you, Psychonauts, for bringing that to our attention, this does paint a more dire picture for Sony complaining about being #1 and moving to #3. I'm disgusted, but please continue, Psychonauts. Thank you for this.
Yeah. So with that in mind now, so we're looking at possibly if they did this revision with a different die. So now that they're going to be able to produce the console with a lot more, because now they have more chips available, because now it's a different die size. They went from a 7 nanometer to a 6 nanometer. So now they can produce more. So I'm assuming by the end of this, by holiday, possibly early 2023, we're going to see the PS5 Slim. And then that means now they're going to have more consoles readily available to sale, because they can produce more, because now they have more chips, because they bought a bunch or a lot of chips for this particular reason, because the 7 nanometer, it was, it's
bigger, it's more expensive.
Yes. And so now they're using this smaller die, which is now using less it's generating less heat. So that's why we saw the smaller heat sink.
Yep.
And the power efficiency. So it can use less power. And that's what the reason they went behind that. So they can get everything smaller, make it more affordable.
Yep.
But
have higher profits.
Yes, profits. No developers are seeing that. This is all for studio. This is all for Sony, not for developers, not anything. So when we're out here and we're seeing these console sales go up, now the console price goes up by $50, and it's just the profit it's insane. So are they getting ready to get they're trying to sub the hit of not having the Call of Duty revenue, and that's why they raised this. Is that, you know, it's just like, did they pass the buck for their R&D to the customer instead of Sony taking the hit? It's so anti-consumer. This Sony's been this generation that it's crazy that people are like, oh, this is all fine, like this is okay. But anywhere else, anywhere in the industry, if the DOJ or the CMA, if they look at it, those are red flags, because that hurts
1,000%.
customers.
1,000%. Yeah.
So what are they really concerned about with the CMA? What are they? It's Sony's bottom end, Sony's dominance. So,
as a matter of fact, it's funny you bring that up, because I don't think anyone actually talks about this much, Psychonauts. In that document from the CMA, who's supposed to be consumer focused, meaning that they're supposed to be out for the best of us and to make sure that market shares aren't being cornered and manipulated. They absolutely said, and I read this multiple times, we are concerned for Sony's number one position being challenged by the ABK deal. They logistically said that. Like, I am blown away, because that sounds like you're in the pocket of SIE. I'm sorry. It sounds like there's corruption right here in front of our faces. And I think that they would absolutely, once it gets to the actual board for the second look, Microsoft is going to destroy them.
Yes. Oh, they're going to bring so many with prior deals and what Sony's has been doing in the industry.
Yep.
And really big, listen, Sony tried to, take us by the jugular last generation. We almost, they almost went out of business. If it wasn't for Phil saying, listen, I can get Xbox back to where it was during the first and second generation. And they're in Saudi, I was like, you know what? All right, I'm 100% back. Microsoft is backing you. Let's see. And we see the outcome. Or, I mean, we got a healthy set of games going to start flowing through Microsoft from first party. The console is back to being the dominance number one, power. As Aaron Greenberg, nothing's greater than the power of X. So, it's great to see Xbox getting back to where they were, and we'll see this all be brought up in front of the CMA, and hopefully that they actually look at it and take it into consideration instead of taking a blind eye and saying, it's all right. What Sony is, what they're doing is fine. We don't, if they try to block this deal because of that, I don't know. It won't be good for Sony.
Yeah, it's unlikely they will. Like I said, Sony, no. Sony has what they have done by coming out publicly is dig themselves a deeper hole, or a deeper grave, so to speak. I think that when you look at everything that they do, what they continue to do, what they've done in the past, really does paint an ugly and bad picture for Sony, claiming to be the victim here when they have been, in fact, the industry bully for damn near a decade, folks. Real quick, shout out to Jason Purcell in the chat. Welcome, Jason. Thanks so much for being here. He says, cost-reduced version. He's talking about the PlayStation 5. He says, Xbox is also doing the same thing. And the only difference there is Xbox isn't charging $50 more for a better produced PS5, which we learned from Austin Evans, who is amazing at the jobs that he does, and breaking down these consoles. We learned that not only are they making it's less expensive, but like if you look at the motherboard, it's literally 2 inches shorter. It's unbelievable what they've done to this console. And it's even more perplexing, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what we're going to kind of, we have 20 minutes left to the show, because I got to get a hard close down of the show at 12, because I got to go, take care of some personal stuff. But I do want, being that Psychonauts you're here and you got a chance to already mention it, and you brought up some great points about the PS5 and its reduction in cost to make. I do want to bring in Web Dave and Dreadpool and Fuzzy and get your quick opinion about this. Guys, and we'll start first with Fuzzy. It is pretty crazy that Microsoft finds a way to lower the cost, and we have a strong suspicion that come Black Friday, even if it's only for a 7-day period or a 10-day period, or maybe it's going to be through the holiday season, we don't know. It is expected that they're going to drop the price of both consoles by $50. Mm-hmm. And if I'm Microsoft marketing, and we know that they listen to this show, they should be taking my words and heeding the advice, because what you then do is have a $100 difference in regards to versus Sony, and then you turn around and you launch the Friends and Family Pass during, maybe you start rolling out the advertisement for that in October, and what you have is a $250 Series S for Black Friday. You get the marketing rights, which we think that they might have for Sonic Frontiers, which of course is coming, and I pulled that theory from a conversation I had with Kei Asante and Everborn Saga. And if they announce it at the Tokyo Game Show that Sonic is going into Game Pass day and date, which I believe is going to happen, what you then do is you throw the Blue Bomber on the boxes of this $50 less console, and what you do then, regardless of how many PlayStation 5s are on the market, you win Black Friday hands down, because not only do you have one of the biggest characters of 2022, thanks to the movie that happened at the beginning of this year, but you have a $100 cheaper console, and you have Xbox Game Pass popped into there for 30 days, 60 days, and you also, on top of that, add the Friends and Family plan. It is, and they're gonna win Black Friday with no bangers, no first party bangers. It's crazy. Fuzzy, what are your thoughts on the price increase of the PlayStation 5 recently announced by the victim, not the bully, because that's what they are. Sony's the victim, and they have figured out a way to lower costs of the development of the PlayStation 5.
Well, you look at what Microsoft did recently with the Series 2 Elite controller. They made a core system, or a core controller where, it takes out some of the parts, which it may not be the best option for somebody looking to get a pro controller that doesn't already have one, but it is an entry point. And there are definitely a lot of accessories out there that you can find on Amazon. They'll be cheaper than the add-on pack, or you could just go with the
even more
pack.
So. Let me add to that. What if you already have an Elite controller?
Exactly.
And you want the white one, which looks really sharp. All you have to do is move your parts over to the white one, and you didn't have to spend $200 for parts you already have.
Exactly. So Microsoft is already looking at giving people an easier entry point with whenever they do a price reduction or when they do a revision, you usually see some form of a price reduction or more of a basic or bare bones entry point. So that way, if you already had a previous system or previous Elite controller, it's a lot easier to go ahead and pick that one up without having to pay the full board price. Or for somebody that doesn't necessarily care about the paddles and just wants a little bit better controller as far as although from some people I know they have had issue with the bumpers or stick drift, but for me it's been a lot less problems with the Series 2 in comparison to the Series 1. But you also have the tension things for the thumbstick, so that was an easy seller as far as if you want to upgrade. But with PlayStation, we always joke about, instead of for the players, it's for the payers, and they're showing their true colors when they go ahead and do a revision 2 years into this life cycle for the console, where typically the prices go down and they're raising the price while still doing the normal things of cutting costs and trying to save as far as their production costs on their end, and passing that on to the consumer. So it sucks for those that may not have already picked up a PS5, especially if you didn't necessarily want the bundled ones that are out there now with Horizon Forbidden West, which great game, just a little buggy at launch, but for those that may want a different title, it's an entry point that you have to kind of swallow or accept or whatever. But yeah, Microsoft, even if they don't do a price reduction, if they hold the price the same, it's a better step than what Sony's doing by passing it on to the consumer. I don't understand. Well, I understand, but I just disagree with their approach on passing those costs on to the consumer when their direct competitors are absorbing that cost. So, but this holiday, I would totally be in favor of, like, if they do a price reduction, which even if Microsoft themselves don't do it, there's enough margin in those units where your Best Buys or your Amazons and things like that, whether it be Black Friday or Cyber Monday, that they're going to have either bundled deals or some sort of deal where you'll be able to get it for below the $300 price point. So $250 I think is a pretty much an easy thing, because you already see that now on Amazon and some other places. Getting it to the 200 point might be a little bit tighter, but even if it, like I said, the doorbuster stuff on Black Friday or Cyber Monday, it's definitely in the cards. And it just goes to show that make it easier for the customer to enter into your ecosystem, and they'll beat a path to your doorway. And Sony's kind of like, oh, wait, there's a cover charge for everybody that enters. You have to pay $30 to $50 more, or you got to, take this game that didn't do quite what we expected it to do when we launched it. So, one's charging that cover charge, and the other one's giving you half off on drinks or something like that. Is about the best comparison I can say.
It's good stuff. Once again, I got to call out Jason Purcell, because he actually brings a great point. He says Jim is doing damage control because Phil brought receipts. Jim is trying to change the narrative. Indeed, he is. Dreadpool, let's get your opinion on this. They bring a cheaper PlayStation 5 to the market, and in the same breath say, you, the customer, well, we're going to do something that is never been done before in gaming. It is literally an unprecedented move in modern day gaming, that a console that has 2 years on the market, instead of dropping $50, goes up $50. And again, in the same breath, Dread, they find a way to make it cheaper. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is they think that they are in the auto industry where, it's taken forever to build everything. Parts are hard to come by. We're going to make revisions, and what we'll do is we're just going to jack up the MSRP and tough titty. You're just going to have to pay for it. And it makes no sense. You know what I mean? I've already touched on it before. Many podcasts before this and earlier today. But it's funny how, yes, we do know that it's harder to get products. We do know it's harder to get materials for these products to be built and made. And I'd say about every year or so, every console in one form or another has a revision. Okay. This is just another one of those that's a major revision to make it cheaper to make and so forth. We saw it even when they made the OG Xbox and going to the Slim, they couldn't get the same chips. So they had to go with a 5% faster chip to keep it on parity with the OG Xbox. That's as close as they could do it. So yes, it's 5% faster. You really won't notice a difference, in that old tech. But even back then, when it was new tech, it wasn't that much of a difference. The same thing here. It's a revision. This is technically their third revision to do something. And it is less parts per se. That doesn't mean that the technology isn't there. So yet again, I'm playing devil's advocate here, right? The technology is still there that they're doing. They may have to use much more expensive chips because the old chips just weren't cutting it, and they had to make something better. Just because the board is smaller doesn't mean necessarily that there's less quality on the board. I used to work at Philips. I'll say that, right? I used to work at Philips making computer monitors. So we would have revisions on those computer monitor boards. That's where I got electrocuted with 25,000 volts going across my heart. But that's what, that was part of the thing that we did.
Nice.
We had to test all this stuff. You know, so we did all this stuff. And then we would change out chips because of the manufacturing of those chips just didn't exist anymore. Capacitors, they were all made better, and because of that, there was a little bit bigger of a price. You know, yet again, what do? Do you pay more, or do you find something else that's a little bit more compatible and keeps the price reduction down? So when it comes to these boards, we really don't know how much money is going into the boards. We do know that it's supposed to be cheaper. We don't know which chips may be costing more, which chips might not be costing as much. Like I said, the supply and demand makes a big difference. Now, historically, when it comes to these consoles, the prices are going down. Okay, so even if you did a revision and it's cheaper, you still don't lose as much money, but you're also not paying it forward not paying it forward, but billing it forward to your customers, right? That's what they're doing. They're billing everything forward and increasing the interest on it. You know, they're increasing the taxes, whatever you want to call it. They're doing that to us, and that's not right. But again, I can't really say because I am not. I'm not one of the Sony businessmen to see, you know, the numbers, right? I'm not a bean cruncher. I'm not going to sit there and number crunch everything and be able to say, yes, you know, this is where we're at. But there are things in their background that we don't know what's going on. And, you know, yes, from the face point of value, 100%, this is wrong. You should not be increasing it. But knowing some of the stuff in the background that I've done, it's hard to say what they've changed.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I can't say for sure because I'm not a tech guy like that. But Austin Evans didn't just say, he confirmed that yes, this is a cheaper made console, so it does not look good that they raised the price.
But like I said, I don't know. I know it was cheaper. It was cheaper made. I know the die's the same. But we don't know the rest of the parts. Okay, we do know certain things are the same, and it looks like it's been reconfigured too. So it also has less weight, which everybody's freaking out because
it's just a little over a pound.
Right, because
lighter.
the heat sink's different.
Yep,
but they added a heat sink tube to another side of the board. No, not the board, but of the shielding. So they've done more R&D on it. They've done more stuff to this. Is that what they're passing the bill on to us for? Is because of the R&D to make this cheaper? Like I said, this is the side of it that you have to be a little bit more realistic. We don't know exactly what's going on with it. That's the thing. We're looking at it as face value.
All right. I mean, listen. I mean, you make a good point, but like I said, it's unprecedented. But listen, we only have a few more minutes left. Let me just bring in Web Dave. Dave, before I do though, let me catch up with 2 super chats that came in. We have XTH27 Lost drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Add all PlayStation exclusives together. It doesn't even come close to the money they make off of one COD game. That's why Jim is crying like a baby." And you might be onto something with that.
Yep.
Brett Bingham drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, poll for the panel, who is now more reviled in the gaming industry, Jim Ryan or Don Matrix? You know what? That might we don't know. And I've seen some gifs that are really like legendary great, that they rip off the Jim Ryan mask and it's really Donnie D underneath there, which is hilarious. Dave, let's get your final opinion on this. We'll get everyone out of here because I got to skedaddle. What I mean, this really does set a precedent for looking at the other side and saying, hey, regardless of whether you had to spend the money in R&D, you're still charging $50 more. It's never been done in gaming, and in the same breath, they are showing that there is this PS5, the 1200 model, that was broken down by Austin Evans, is a pound lighter. The motherboard is 2 inches shorter. The heat sink is smaller. So everything is smaller, which means cheaper. Mm-hmm. Why are PlayStation gamers picking up the bill for what this should be already, just left at $499, but now it's $450.
Well, they
$550, I should say.
they shouldn't be, for one thing, but yeah, no, I mean, they're doing it because they know they can get away with it.
Yep, there you go.
That is the simple fact of the matter, is they can get away with it. I mean, they're still having some issues in some places with scalpers, you know. So, you know, and that cost, of course, gets just passed on to you, the person who has to get it for their kid for Christmas, But Microsoft has the opportunity this holiday season to come in and really wreak havoc on the market, which is a good thing.
Yeah,
they have the opportunity to put out there a discounted system, even if it's just for Black Friday or for the holiday season in general. And either with an add-in, a bundle, or it includes 6 months of Game Pass, 3 months of Game Pass, and then here's the stuff you're going to get in Game Pass while you have this system. Especially if it is the all digital system, the S, because you have to buy and purchase your games for that. It's Microsoft knows how to market on the holidays. And I have a feeling, that this is something that they can really go with. I mean, they talked about having, once they own Call of Duty, I wouldn't be surprised, like we had the Halo edition, if not to have a special COD edition, a Call of Duty edition of the Xbox Series X and S. Why not? I mean, they can do it pretty cheaply and get it out there, and people would. Man, they would eat that up like gravy. I'm telling you. So I just think that they have the best opportunity to win the holiday. A lot of people are saying, even in chat, that that there's going to be the God of War coming out this holiday, and there could be a God of War bundle with the system for the PlayStation 5. And granted, there may be, if you can get a hold of it. That's the one thing. And it looks like a really good game. I agree with that. But there's still other good things coming out and that are already out for the Xbox. And of course, 2023 for Microsoft is going to be absolutely huge. Especially when the deal is done and all these other great franchises and IPs come out. It's all I can say is bring it, Sony. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I have a Sony PlayStation. I love my PlayStation, but the way Sony is treating the market right now, and the way they're acting, and their management is acting right now, let's just see what happens. This is going to be fun. That's it.
Yeah, indeed it is. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, that is your Breakfast with Boom for this Friday morning into the afternoon. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Shout out to, of course, I didn't get a chance to say welcome. King Hell is in the chat. Well, welcome that back, brother. Definitely appreciate that. Usually UK lad, what's going on, brother? I just saw you popped into the chat. My thing is trying to get to everyone, and obviously sometimes I just can't because there is a lot of people here. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to check out today's show. I will ask that you hit the like button on the way out. Hit the subscribe button if you're finding the channel for the first time. And, of course, share this on social media. Let's get to the outros. And we'll start first with Psychonauts. And Psychonauts, we got to get you on a show where you start at the beginning because you brought in some great points. I'll reach out to you in a private DM. We'll find out what works with your schedule. What other shows are you on, brother? And what else can you bring to the table? Like, what if you do have I don't know if you have your own YouTube channel, but if you do, sell your brand. And more importantly, tell everyone where they could reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media.
Thank you, Mr. Boomstick, for allowing me on the show today. Chat, you guys are awesome. The great energy. Yeah, you can find me everywhere on social media, Psychonauts8. You can find me on the Fun Speculation channel. Mondays, FSP with Fuzzy, Mav, 3-Bit, and Jasper. And you can find me on Fridays, today, Xbox Ultimate at 9 o'clock. You can find us there with the whole group. And I do have a YouTube channel, but I have not done anything over a year. Life has been not
busy. Life has been busy, to say the least. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I haven't really done too much with my channel. But it's there if you want to check it out. It's Gamer Chat Podcast, Gamer Chat, one word. And yeah, thank you for having me on again. And it's awesome to be with this great panel.
Yeah, brother. Well, we're definitely going to get you on for a future episode of something. We'll figure out the schedules.
Yes.
Shout out to someone I didn't get a chance to say, to Darnell Consult. What's up, brother? Welcome to the program. Fuzzy Belvedere, sell your brand, brother. Talk about your racing channel, which is really dedicated to my terrible driving that you see here. And more importantly, what other shows are you on and where can people reach out to you on social media?
Just want to thank you for having me on here, and it's great being on here with Psychonauts and everything, and with with Dreadpool and Web Dave and yourself. It was awesome getting to talk about these topics, and thank you for everyone that came out in the chat. For anybody that wants to hear my endless ramblings on gaming, just follow me on Twitter, Fuzzy_Belvedere, YouTube, Fuzzy_Belvedere. Like Psychonauts said, FSP on Mondays, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculations channel. Also on Xbox Ultimate, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, also on Fun Speculations channel. And the Shop Podcast on Saturdays on PTK Blam's channel at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And right back here on Breakfast with Boom next week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with the crew. Thanks again for coming out.
Thank you very much. And Dreadpool makes it easy. I'm going to throw Dreadpool up on. I removed him and I got to put him on the screen. Here we go. How do I do that again? Okay, here we go. Let's see. I have no idea how the hell. Oh, here we go. I'm going to put Dreadpool. There you go. I got it.
There we go.
Linktree.com/Dreadpool, YouTube.com/Dreadpool, Twitter @Dreadpool, TikTok @Dreadpool, and Hover.gg/Dreadpool. You can find all of his content. Breaking Bread with Dread is his very unique way of interviewing folks. I think you should check it out. I think you're definitely going to dig it. So thank you so much for that. And Web Dave, say your brand, brother. You got a big interview coming up this Monday. If you want to spill the beans or save it for everyone.
Oh, no. I'll spill the beans.
Yeah, talk about that. Talk about your YouTube channel. Where can people strike up a conversation with you on social media?
Well, you can find me at Outbreak Podcast on YouTube, and Web Dave on Twitter, and love the chat, man, Tool Man, the Game Complainers, all a bunch of great chat members that are in here all the time and hanging out with us, and I love it. And the show coming out this it's coming out this Monday is my exclusive interview with Game On Daily's Hardgate Johnny. And
nice, dude.
And wow, he is I knew he was, a smart guy. But when you see this interview and you just see how fascinating is and how knowledgeable he is about the industry and everything, you can see why he got on with Game On Daily. And it's a really good interview. It's a fun interview, and it debuts this Monday. So definitely
nice.
Check it out. Lots of other great interviews from everybody on the panel, and hopefully Psychonauts too. We've reached out, we've talked back and forth, and hopefully within the next month or so, Psychonauts will be interviewed as well. So there we go.
Yeah, you definitely won't be disappointed. I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we've actually had Psychonauts, and I have had a Breaking Bread, and it was one of the top shows. So definitely
nice, dude. Good stuff.
Definitely
Excellent.
Psychonauts. So yeah, definitely check him out. Check everything that he's doing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out, supporting Double Barrel Gaming with your super chats, with the channel memberships, and of course the likes and the subs and everything else. We wouldn't be at 11K if it wasn't for you. And the goal for the remainder of this year is to try and hit 12K. Are we going to do it? Well, I don't actually know. Hey, shout out to Bone Slave. What's going on, brother? Sorry, I didn't see you earlier, which I normally say hello, but welcome to the program, brother. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed today's program, please hit the like button, hit the sub button if you're finding the channel for the first time. And of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So have a great weekend. Be safe. play well, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.